Hey guys, Allie Marie here with My Catholic Perspective. I have a feeling that today will not be kind of like my standard video. I really tend to try to be measured, calm, cool, collected about topics that I talk about because I really want to be heard from both sides of the equation. But when it comes to priests or church clergy abusing their power, this is where I do feel a very strong level of conviction to speak out against it. Not only because, a priest is obviously within the church, and the Bible says that we are to judge those who are within the church. That's not to say to condemn them. The Lord, man looks at the outward appearance, the Lord looks at the heart. We do trust that God will have mercy on people who do wrongdoings. However, when we are allowed to we are called to evaluate their actions. We are called to observe and to a particular degree hold them accountable for how they're acting. And so we have this dilemma, right, where priests are in charge. They almost command respect. There is a different level of that vocational call, particularly in the Catholic faith, where they actually decide to not ever get married. There is a whole level of sacrifice that comes in that. It is not a call for somebody for the weak. But James 3 also tells us that those who do become teachers will be judged more harshly. That is in the eyes of the world and in the eyes of the Lord. So for me, obviously, as a teacher as well as somebody with a public platform, I have to be cautious of what I say and of what I do. But this is something where I personally have had a negative experience with a priest that I will share in this video. And I have a dear friend that has also had a very terrible experience with a priest. And I had done a video a while back where I kind of flippantly mentioned it and was like, oh, well, she didn't feel like it was appropriate. And that's honestly probably what I would have said about my own situation. My husband and I, were like, oh, that's kind of strange, or, this is kind of weird. And maybe even at this point, if the fullness of what happened hadn't occurred, I would potentially still look at that situation due to that whole power dynamic difference of well, I want him to like me. I want him to respect me. I want, him to carry my endorsement to the bishop. I want to have this good standing relationship. So I don't want to do anything that would mess that up. So priests, you have this responsibility, you know that the laity looks up to you, obviously, and so priests are held to this higher accountability than your standard laity, than your standard layperson. So my experience with a priest, we would play words with friends. We would text. It got to a point where I didn't really feel like I wanted to call them father. I felt like they were more of a brother or this or that. They were like, oh, that's fine, and they would tell sexual jokes, and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I'm sure that I bantered back, just kind of this is strange, not really sure what to do. And I'd show my husband, and he and Alec would be like, oh, that's really strange. I'm my eyes are watering. I'm so upset about all this. I'm still trying to remain calm, cool, and collected. I doubt it's gonna happen for this whole video. But so anyway, so this went on for quite a while, and finally it started to taper off. I don't know exactly. I don't remember the details. I think maybe I stopped responding as much. I think it was just kind of a mutual stepping back. About 2 years after my experience with this particular priest, I was informed of an additional situation where he was texting with another wife in a similar manner. I don't know all of the particulars about that situation, so I'm not going to go into the details, but the fact of the matter is that it happened again, and if I had said something up front, it's very possible that it wouldn't have happened. It's possible that everything could have been stopped in its tracks and everything could have been addressed in that moment. I am not somebody who's afraid to talk to managers. I am not a people pleaser. If you follow my channel, you know this. But so as somebody who's not a people pleaser, and I still didn't feel comfortable going forward, how is it that somebody else who is much more shy and not as confrontational as I might be, how are they supposed to speak up? How are children supposed to speak up when a priest does something bad? If there's that questioning of like, well, how bad was it really? I have not spoken with anyone really about this. Obviously, like, I'm hesitant to even bring this up because there is a part of me that's like, oh, I don't want Father to see this. I don't want him to see this. I don't want him to be upset with me. And that's where I start to get mad. That's where I start to get like really angry, actually, because he was wrong and he knows he was wrong. That's the thing. That's the thing that gets me mad right now. Is that I don't feel like I can say something in fear of offending him, in fear of holding him accountable, because I want him to like me. I want him to respect me. I want to be in this journey of serving the Lord with him. But guess what? You are guilty. You're guilty. And that's the thing. These priests who act out, these Catholic clergy, the indigenous schools right now, I don't know all of the details. I've read enough to understand enough, and it is unacceptable. It's not disappointing. It's not unfortunate. It is unacceptable. Okay, that is the thing. It is 100% not okay. It's not something that's just, oh, well, she felt like it was bad. Oh, it was kind of strange. Oh, it was sort of weird. It made me a little uncomfortable. Okay, priests, you know better. You know better. So stop. Stop. It is not acceptable. And I think the thing that gets my blood boiling about this whole thing is that we're like, why wouldn't I have written the bishop, right? Why wouldn't I have said, hey, there's this priest that's kind of doing some funky behavior. Here's a printout of some of our texts. I'm not really too sure about what to do with this. I don't know if my bishop would have done anything. They say, speak out, let us know, do this, do that, hold people accountable. But because of the structure in the church, because of how it all is, and these priests have this massive respect, and my diocese, we have a shortage of priests, we need all the priests. Because of this, I even myself don't feel that comfort level of contacting my diocese, of potentially preventing that whole ordeal from even happening. If I had just contacted the priest or the bishop, if I had just, said to the priest, that text was really inappropriate. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to report you to the bishop. You should not be making jokes like that to me. I'm married. I'm a female. You're a priest. This is just not acceptable behavior. And I think that's just part of the problem, is that there's this systemic, almost distrust of knowing that I could go to a trusted source. It's we don't know who should we trust with this information. And so here I am on a public platform putting it out there because I am so frustrated and irate, and just like I said, my blood is just boiling about it with this indigenous school situation. I know it's been going on a while. For whatever reason, it's only now coming to the surface, as it is with any public news, right? An article comes up and it's from 6 years ago and everyone gets mad because that's just how the news and social media works. But it happened to coincide with this conversation of a different video that I posted years ago, where I was trying to be calm, cool, collected, measured, saying, oh, well, priests they could have had a difficult background. We have to understand where they're coming from. They're not perfect. They were a boy just like every other boy in the world, and this and that, and basically justifying their actions when there is no justification. You've been to the seminary. You know right from wrong. Don't act like you don't. And so I just obviously there is an issue outside of the Catholic faith. There is an issue, with pedophilia, with society, with the media, with all of these different things. But James 3, if you are going to become a teacher, you are going to be judged more harshly. That is a fact. It is scriptural. It is spoken by the Holy Spirit. And so you, as a priest, you have a responsibility to act accordingly to your vows. And it is unacceptable. And there does need to be a revamp in what happens when a priest acts out in a way, because sometimes it is sly. Sometimes it is, kind of covert or, just kind of under the radar, kind of strange, but not anything overtly terrible. There's no physical anything going on or whatever. It's still totally unacceptable and a total abuse of power, total abuse of that respect. I don't typically watch shows like this, but I had watched The Morning Show back a couple years back when the season 1 came out. I was like, I'm not watching season 2. It swears too much. I'm cursing more, and I don't like cursing. You won't ever really hear me curse. I was thinking about this video. It's like, if there was going to be a video I was going to swear, and it'd probably be this one. I just want to call everything BS, But I don't like cursing anyway. So watch The Morning Show, and that's exactly what it was, right? The head anchor basically abused his power, and then the girl that he ends up forcing into relations, she didn't overtly say no, but she didn't overtly say yes, but she didn't know how to say no because he was in a position of power. And so what was she supposed to do? And that's exactly how I felt with these inappropriate text messages. It was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I guess I'll just banter back. It's harmless enough, right? But, I'm not even going to go into more detail, but you are in a position of power. Priests are in a position of power, and you're in a position that demands respect. You're in a position that is reflective of the seat of Peter. What would Peter do? Could you really see Peter acting in that way? Do you think that the message of Christianity would have survived if they were off telling sexual jokes to the husbands' wives? Do you think the history of Christianity would have succeeded if they were off, gallivanting the town, telling inappropriate jokes to little kids and whatever else, telling people that they couldn't speak in their native language, telling people that they can't learn about their heritage, that they're not to acknowledge it? You think Christianity would have survived? You think Christianity and Catholicism is going to survive right now if you do that same type of crap? I'll tell you what, it's not. I just watched a video the other day of a priest who said the fastest growing denomination is ex-Catholics. And you're a huge part of that responsibility. You are to call your flock into your church. You are to call your flock and teach them and guide them. And it is completely unacceptable to abuse that power. It's completely unacceptable to abuse the seat of Peter. And so if you have, you need to apologize. You need to apologize to the people you have offended, and you need to apologize to your parish. You need to come forward and be honest about it. You need to come forward to your bishop. You need to come forward now. It is no longer acceptable. And I'm not just speaking for me. I am speaking on behalf of all of the people. I am speaking on behalf of every single seat in that parish. Nobody deserves to be treated the way that some of these people are treated. Period. It is unacceptable. And your people, the laity, we're done. We're done. So it's time to shape up. My prayer always, and every week, every time, this goes to the priests, this goes to the victims, this goes to everybody, is that God grants you the resources that you need to draw closer to Him and to those around you. And that is exactly what my prayer is for all of those who have offended others, who have been offended. That is my prayer for every person that is watching this, that isn't watching this, that anywhere. Just as my prayer for the world, that God would grant everyone the resources that they need to draw closer to Him, to understand Him better, and to draw closer to those around you. And as always, I pray that you're able to make it a great day. And yeah, sorry. I won't apologize. I was going to say sorry today was so intense, but gosh, I'm not sorry. It needs to be. Somebody needs to say it, so why not me, I guess. So God bless. I'll see you next time.